Stop scrolling and listen to today's Arcturian Council message. January 15, 16, and 17 are sore set dates. Ignore them and you'll regret it, because these windows activate timelines that will close without warning, and what you fail to receive now will require years to recover later. This transmission begins with urgency because the energy surrounding you right now is not gentle, subtle, or optional. It is confrontational by design. The Arcturian Council states clearly that humanity has entered a compression phase, where dormant truths rise violently to the surface, shattering comfort, identity, and false certainty. Many will feel exhaustion without cause, emotional surges without explanation, and a sense that time itself is accelerating beyond control. This is not anxiety, and it is not random. It is a recalibration event that exposes what can no longer travel with you. Those who ignore this phase will feel increasingly disconnected, confused, and pressured, as if life itself is resisting them. This resistance is not punishment, it is feedback. You are being pushed toward alignment whether you consent or not. The question is whether you move consciously or are dragged unconsciously through collapse. The Council warns that pretending nothing is happening will amplify the shock later. Awareness now softens impact later. Type "I am aware" to claim this message. The Council reveals that January 15th initiates the rupture point, the moment when suppressed intentions surface and hidden agreements dissolve. You may notice sudden changes in relationships, work structures, or inner motivation. What once felt stable may abruptly feel intolerable. This is not loss, it is exposure. Energetic contracts that were signed unconsciously are now expiring, and your soul will no longer subsidize misalignment. Resistance will feel like chaos, while surrender will feel like clarity. Many will attempt to cling to familiar suffering because it feels safer than unknown freedom. The shock comes when the universe removes choice entirely. Doors close without apology. Conversations end without closure. Opportunities disappear overnight. This is not cruelty, it is efficiency. The Council emphasizes that this phase favors decisiveness. Indecision fragments timelines. If you feel pushed to choose, it's because delay now creates heavier consequences later. Claim conscious choice. Type "I choose alignment" to receive this energy. January 16th carries a different frequency, revelation. This is the day when illusions fracture internally. You may suddenly see people clearly, including yourself, without emotional filters. This clarity can feel brutal, even heartbreaking, because it removes comforting narratives. The Council states that many awakenings fail here because truth feels too sharp for the ego to tolerate. You may realize you've outgrown roles you once fought to protect. You may see that certain dreams were never yours. This realization can trigger grief, anger, or emptiness, but these emotions are transitional, not terminal. They clear space for authentic direction. Ignoring this clarity leads to repeating the same lessons under harsher conditions. Acceptance allows momentum. The Council urges you to witness without judgment. Truth does not require reaction, only recognition. Let what falls away fall. Type "I accept the truth" to anchor this frequency. The Council warns that physical symptoms may intensify during this window: pressure in the head, vivid dreams, disrupted sleep, and emotional waves without narrative. These are not signs of imbalance but of integration. Your nervous system is learning to hold higher informational density. Stillness will feel uncomfortable because old distractions no longer soothe. Many will attempt to numb this phase through noise, substances, or constant stimulation. This delays integration and prolongs discomfort. The body must recalibrate before the mind fully understands. Hydration, grounding, and intentional silence will support the process. The Council emphasizes that rest is not laziness now, it is strategic adaptation. Those who honor their body's signals will stabilize faster and access clearer guidance. Ignoring physical cues creates confusion and fatigue. Listen inward. Type, "I honor my body," to claim balance. January 17th is the locking point. This is where the timeline you've been feeding becomes dominant. Thoughts repeated now carry amplified creative force. The Council states plainly, what you emotionally rehearse during this day seeds the next cycle. Fear rehearsed becomes structure. Clarity rehearsed becomes opportunity. This is why mental discipline matters now more than ever. Casual negativity becomes costly. Self-talk becomes architecture. Many will unknowingly reinforce limitations because they mistake familiarity for truth. The shock here is realizing how powerful your inner narrative truly is. You are not manifesting randomly, you are echoing patterns. Awareness allows interruption. Choose your inner language carefully. Speak to yourself as if your future depends on it, because it does. Type, "I speak consciously," to stabilize this timeline. Now hear this rehook clearly. If you think this message is exaggeration, that disbelief itself is the test. The Council states that dismissal is the final filter before activation. Those who mock, scroll past, or delay engagement are unconsciously opting into slower, denser timelines. This is not punishment, it is resonance law. Energy follows attention. Indifference signals unreadiness. You are not being judged, you are being sorted by frequency. This realization can feel unsettling, even offensive, but it restores sovereignty. No one is left behind, everyone arrives where they are aligned. The urgency you feel is your intuition recognizing a narrowing window. Pay attention. Engagement is consent. Type, "I am present," to remain aligned. The Council clarifies that this cycle is not about ascension as escape but embodiment as responsibility. Higher awareness demands cleaner choices. You may feel less tolerance for compromise, excuses, or performative behavior. This is integration, not arrogance. Your energy will naturally withdraw from environments that drain rather than expand you. Some will misinterpret this as isolation, but it is recalibration. Solitude now refines signal. Noise blurs it. The shock is realizing how much of your life was maintained through obligation rather than resonance. Release is not abandonment, it is correction. Allow space to restructure. Type, "I trust the process," to stabilize your field. Expect intensified synchronicities, repeated numbers, unexpected messages, sudden insights, and chance encounters that feel deliberate. These are confirmation signals, not coincidences. The Council advises documenting them, not obsessing over them. Meaning emerges through pattern, not fixation. If you ignore these markers, guidance will become louder, sometimes through disruption. Subtle guidance ignored becomes forceful intervention. This is not threat, it is efficiency. Life communicates softly first. Pay attention to what repeats. Repetition is emphasis. Type, I notice the signs, to deepen connection. Emotional purging may surface memories you thought you'd resolved. This is not regression, it is completion. The Council explains that unresolved emotional residue cannot accompany higher coherence. Feelings resurfacing now do so to be released fully, not relived. Allow them without story. Emotion moves faster without narrative. Suppression delays freedom. Expression integrates it. Crying, writing, movement, all are valid. Judgment is the only blockage. This phase ends quickly when met honestly. Type, I release the past, to clear residual weight. Finally, the Council reminds you that participation is a choice, but consequences are automatic. Awareness empowers navigation. Ignorance magnifies impact. You are not late, you are precisely on time to choose consciously. These dates are catalysts, not guarantees. What activates depends on engagement. Stay present, grounded, and intentional. This is not about belief, it is about responsiveness. The path ahead is clearer than it has been in years if you stop resisting clarity. Stand ready. Type, I claim my timeline, to seal this transmission. Here is another unsettling truth the Council insists you hear. Many people mistake exhaustion for failure, when in reality it is evidence of energetic reallocation. You are not tired because you are weak, you are tired because you are shedding systems that once consumed enormous internal power. When identity structures dissolve, energy that maintained them floods the nervous system, creating heaviness, fog, and the urge to withdraw. Society pressures you to push through, but pushing now causes fragmentation. The Council emphasizes strategic withdrawal, not collapse. Silence is not avoidance, it is recalibration. If you feel unmotivated by goals that once excited you, that is not depression, it is discernment. Your system refuses to invest in futures that no longer match your frequency. This can feel terrifying because certainty dissolves before clarity arrives. Trust the pause. It is intelligent. Type, I honor the pause, to claim this recalibration. The Council warns of an emotional inversion taking place. People you once felt safe around may now feel draining, while unfamiliar energies feel strangely comforting. This is not betrayal, it is resonance correction. Emotional loyalty to outdated bonds creates energetic leakage. Many will attempt to revive dead dynamics through guilt, nostalgia, or obligation. This will fail and create resentment. The shock comes when you realize love does not require proximity, and growth does not require permission. You are allowed to evolve beyond your past without justification. The Council states that energetic honesty matters more than social harmony now. Politeness that costs your truth becomes self-abandonment. Choose integrity over comfort. Type, I choose integrity, to anchor this shift. You may notice an increase in sudden realizations that arrive without logical buildup. These are downloads, not thoughts. They bypass linear reasoning and land fully formed. Doubting them because they lack explanation delays integration. The Council explains that higher guidance communicates through immediacy, not argument. If something feels undeniably true without evidence, sit with it before dismissing it. Evidence follows alignment, not the other way around. This can feel destabilizing to a mind trained to require proof before trust. But proof emerges through experience, not debate. Act on what feels clean, calm, and clear, not what feels urgent or fear-driven. Type, I trust inner knowing to strengthen reception. Expect disruptions in routine. Schedules may collapse, plans may derail, and timing may feel unreliable. This is intentional. Rigid structures cannot adapt to fluid frequencies. The Council advises flexibility as a survival skill. Control now creates friction. Flow creates access. If something repeatedly fails to move forward, stop forcing it. Redirection is protection. Many will interpret obstacles as punishment when they are actually rerouting mechanisms. Life is steering you away from paths that no longer serve your evolution. Cooperation reduces resistance. Type, I flow with change to remain adaptable. Another difficult truth emerges: not everyone will come with you. This is not a threat, it is reality. Evolution creates divergence. Trying to carry others slows momentum and breeds resentment. The Council stresses that separation does not equal abandonment. Souls meet, serve, and part as needed. Clinging creates stagnation. You may feel grief for futures you imagined with people who cannot meet you where you are going. Honor the grief without negotiating your growth. Growth is non-negotiable. Type, I release with love to complete these cycles. Financial and material concerns may surface sharply during this phase. Scarcity fears rise when identity shifts, because old survival strategies no longer apply. The Council reminds you that security built on misalignment always collapses eventually. New forms of support emerge after internal realignment, not before. This requires trust without recklessness. Discernment replaces fear. Watch where opportunities appear effortlessly versus where effort feels draining. Ease is guidance. Struggle is feedback. Type, I trust support to open receptive channels. Your sensitivity may increase dramatically. Noise, crowds, and emotional intensity may feel overwhelming. This is not weakness, it is refinement. As perception sharpens, tolerance for distortion decreases. Protecting your energy becomes essential, not optional. Boundaries are energetic hygiene. The Council encourages selective engagement. You do not owe everyone access to your attention. Attention is creative power. Spend it deliberately. Type, I protect my energy to stabilize your field. Dream activity may intensify, delivering symbolic messages and unresolved themes. Do not dismiss them. Dreams now function as processing chambers, integrating what the waking mind resists. Patterns matter more than details. Repetition signals unresolved energy seeking closure. Write them down without analysis at first. Meaning reveals itself over time. The Council advises patience. Interpretation forced too quickly distorts truth. Type "I receive the message" to deepen integration. You may feel compelled to simplify, decluttering spaces, reducing commitments, minimizing consumption. This is not aesthetic preference, it is energetic necessity. Complexity drains coherence. Simplicity amplifies clarity. The Council states that what surrounds you shapes what you become. Release objects, habits, and obligations that no longer resonate. Space invites new frequencies. Type "I choose simplicity" to support alignment. As this phase continues, remember this: confusion is temporary, but misalignment compounds. You are not lost, you are between maps. Old directions no longer work, and new ones are forming internally. Trust the transition. Movement will resume when alignment stabilizes. For now, presence is enough. You are doing more by being than by forcing action. Type "I stay present" to ground this transmission. The Council now delivers a warning that may unsettle you. Comfort is becoming incompatible with evolution. Many humans confuse peace with familiarity, yet familiarity is often just repeated stagnation. During this phase, anything that lulls you into emotional numbness will quietly drain your momentum. You may feel an inner agitation that cannot be soothed by entertainment, distraction, or reassurance. This is deliberate. Your higher awareness refuses sedation. The shock comes when you realize that what once helped you cope now blocks your expansion. Even spiritual routines may feel empty if they are performed mechanically. The Council urges conscious presence rather than ritual repetition. Do not seek comfort, seek coherence. When your actions align with your truth, peace arises naturally. Type "I choose coherence" to claim this message. You are entering a period where truth responds faster than ever before. Words spoken casually may manifest consequences rapidly. Promises made lightly may bind unexpectedly. Complaints voiced repeatedly may crystallize into circumstances. This acceleration is not meant to punish but to educate. The Council emphasizes responsibility of expression. Your voice is a tuning fork. What you say trains reality how to respond to you. Silence may feel safer than speech now because silence carries neutrality. Speak only what you are prepared to experience. This realization shocks many because it removes the illusion of harmless negativity. Nothing is harmless when frequency accelerates. Choose your words with intention. Type "I speak with purpose" to stabilize this power. The Council highlights a subtle but critical shift. Intuition will contradict logic more frequently. Logical systems were built for stability, not transformation. During rapid change, intuition navigates terrain logic cannot yet map. You may feel compelled to act without justification, to rest without explanation, or to disengage without argument. Defending intuitive decisions to those who cannot feel what you feel will drain you. You are not required to translate inner knowing into external approval. The shock is realizing how often you have betrayed intuition to maintain harmony. Harmony built on self-betrayal collapses eventually. Honor the quiet voice first. Type "I follow inner guidance" to reinforce alignment. As timelines diverge, emotional misunderstandings will increase. Others may project confusion, anger, or fear onto you simply because your frequency disrupts their patterns. This is not your responsibility to fix. The Council stresses emotional sovereignty. Compassion does not mean absorption. You can care without carrying. Attempts to rescue others now often backfire, entangling you in lessons not meant for you. Allow people their process without interference. Detachment is not coldness, it is respect for autonomy. The shock here is learning that love sometimes looks like non-involvement. Type "I respect autonomy" to maintain clarity. Finally, the Council asks you to remember this: nothing unfolding now is accidental. Every disruption is a message. Every delay is a correction. Every ending is a recalibration. You are not being tested to see if you are worthy, you are being refined to see what you will carry forward. The future forming responds not to hope, but to consistency. Small aligned choices repeated matter more than dramatic gestures. Stay attentive. Stay honest. Stay present. This phase rewards sincerity over effort. Type "I commit to alignment" to seal this transmission. The Council now turns your attention to identity fatigue, a condition many are experiencing but few can name. This fatigue comes from maintaining versions of yourself that no longer reflect who you are becoming. You may feel irritation at being perceived incorrectly, or exhaustion from explaining yourself repeatedly. This is a signal that self-definition is shifting internally before it updates externally. The shock arrives when you realize you are no longer obligated to be understood by everyone. Misunderstanding is not failure, it is evidence of transition. The Council advises conserving energy by releasing the need for validation. Let your actions speak quietly over time. Identity will stabilize naturally when alignment completes. Type "I release validation" to claim this recalibration. Another intense pattern may surface now: sudden clarity followed by temporary doubt. This oscillation is not regression, it is integration. The nervous system learns through repetition. Insight arrives, retreats, and returns stronger. Many mistake the retreat for failure and abandon the insight prematurely. The Council urges patience with this rhythm. Growth is not linear, it spirals. Each return brings deeper embodiment. Do not rush to conclusions during moments of uncertainty. Stillness allows clarity to settle. Trust the process even when confidence flickers. Type "I trust the spiral" to stabilize learning. The Council addresses productivity illusions next. Traditional measures of success may feel hollow or irrelevant. You may accomplish less externally while undergoing profound internal restructuring. Society rewards visible output, but evolution prioritizes invisible alignment. This mismatch can trigger guilt or fear. Release it. Internal coherence precedes sustainable creation. Forcing output before alignment creates burnout and dissatisfaction. The shock is realizing rest can be more productive than action during certain phases. Honor invisible work. Integration is labor. Type "I honor inner work" to legitimize this phase. You may notice heightened emotional honesty in yourself, paired with decreased tolerance for pretense. Small lies, even polite ones, may feel heavy. This sensitivity is a sign of increased coherence. The Council explains that truth carries less energetic cost than distortion. You are learning efficiency. This may create friction in environments built on performative norms. Rather than confront, observe. Your alignment will naturally shift you toward compatible spaces. Type "I value truth" to strengthen coherence. As this segment closes, the Council reminds you that presence is your most powerful tool. Future anxieties and past regrets drain energy from the only point of influence you possess, now. Every moment you return to presence, you reclaim power. You do not need to solve everything immediately. You only need to stay conscious in this moment. Momentum builds from consistency, not urgency. Stand here fully. Type "I am here now" to ground this transmission. The Council now draws attention to a phenomenon that many overlook: the collapse of false urgency. You may notice that tasks once framed as immediate suddenly feel meaningless, while seemingly minor inner adjustments carry disproportionate weight. This reversal is intentional. Your system is recalibrating priorities away from external pressure and toward internal coherence. The shock comes when you realize how often urgency was manufactured to keep you distracted from your truth. Deadlines that do not align will dissolve or become irrelevant. This may provoke anxiety at first, especially if your identity was tied to productivity or responsiveness. But relief follows when you understand that not everything deserves your energy. True urgency comes from alignment, not expectation. Learn to differentiate between pressure and purpose. Type "I release false urgency" to claim clarity. You may begin to experience a distancing from collective emotional waves. News, social conflict, and mass fear narratives may feel strangely muted or irrelevant. This is not apathy, it is sovereignty. The Council explains that as coherence increases, emotional contagion loses influence. You become less reactive, more observant. This shift can feel isolating because shared outrage and fear once created connection. Now, connection must form through authenticity rather than reaction. Some will accuse you of disengagement or denial. Do not internalize this. Your nervous system is no longer designed for constant alarm. Choose conscious awareness over emotional absorption. Type "I claim sovereignty" to stabilize this state. Another unsettling realization may surface: you can no longer unsee what you now understand. Awareness, once expanded, does not contract. You may find it impossible to participate in conversations, systems, or habits that contradict your values. This creates friction, especially in environments resistant to change. The Council stresses that this friction is temporary. You are shedding skins, not losing belonging. New alignment requires temporary dissonance. Avoid self-judgment during this phase. You are not becoming difficult, you are becoming honest. Let discomfort guide you rather than shame you. Type "I honor my awareness" to integrate this shift. The Council highlights an important adjustment in how guidance arrives. Instead of dramatic signs, direction now appears as subtle ease or resistance. Doors that open smoothly indicate alignment. Doors that require constant force signal misdirection. This simplicity confuses those accustomed to struggle as proof. You are learning that flow is not laziness, it is intelligence. Pay attention to where energy replenishes rather than depletes. Ease does not mean absence of effort, it means absence of internal conflict. Trust simplicity. Type "I follow ease" to deepen alignment. As this sequence concludes, the Council reminds you that integration is cumulative. You may not feel transformed in a single moment, but patterns are shifting beneath the surface. Old reactions soften. New responses emerge quietly. Measure progress by peace, not intensity. You are stabilizing into a truer version of yourself, one choice at a time. Stay attentive, stay honest, and remain grounded in the present. This is how lasting change anchors. Type "I stay grounded" to seal this segment. The Council now speaks about a subtle but powerful shift in perception that many are experiencing: the collapse of false identity layers. These layers were built from expectations, survival strategies, and roles adopted to gain approval or avoid rejection. As they dissolve, you may feel temporarily undefined, as if you no longer recognize yourself in familiar descriptions. This can be unsettling, even frightening, because labels once provided stability. The shock arrives when you realize those labels were limitations disguised as structure. Freedom initially feels like emptiness because it lacks familiar boundaries. Do not rush to replace old identities with new ones. Let the space remain open. From this openness, authenticity will emerge naturally. Type "I release false identities" to anchor this clearing. You may also notice an increased sensitivity to environments. Spaces that once felt neutral may now feel heavy, while simple natural settings feel restorative. This is not imagination, it is resonance awareness. The Council explains that as coherence increases, your system responds more clearly to energetic quality. You are learning to read environments the way your body reads food. Discomfort is information, not inconvenience. Ignoring it creates fatigue. Honoring it restores vitality. Adjust your surroundings where possible. Light, sound, and order matter more now than before. Type "I honor my environment" to support balance. The Council addresses a difficult emotional pattern: delayed grief. Many suppressed emotions from earlier stages of life may surface now because your system finally feels safe enough to process them. This grief may not match present circumstances, which can cause confusion. Understand that healing follows readiness, not chronology. Feeling sadness now does not mean you are moving backward. It means you are completing cycles. Allow emotions to move without attaching stories. They are signals passing through, not identities. Type "I allow healing" to facilitate release. As your awareness stabilizes, you may feel less compelled to explain yourself. Silence becomes comfortable. This is not withdrawal, it is confidence. The Council notes that explanation often arises from doubt, while clarity rests quietly. You no longer need to convince others of your truth. Those aligned will recognize it without words. Those who are not do not require persuasion. Save your energy. Presence communicates more than argument. Type "I trust my presence" to embody this shift. Finally, the Council reminds you that alignment is not dramatic, it is consistent. Small, honest choices accumulate into profound change. You are not required to be perfect, only sincere. When you stray, return gently. When confusion arises, pause. When clarity appears, act simply. This is how coherence is lived, not achieved. You are already participating by paying attention. Type, "I live in alignment," to ground this transmission. The Council now emphasizes a phase many underestimate: the re-education of desire. What you want may change suddenly and without explanation. Goals that once fueled ambition may now feel hollow, while quieter longings emerge without urgency. This is not loss of drive, it is refinement of intention. Desire is being purified from compensation and redirected toward resonance. The shock arrives when you realize how many past desires were attempts to fill absence rather than expressions of truth. As this clears, you may feel temporarily unmotivated, even blank. Do not panic. Desire returns cleaner, calmer, and more precise. Let it reform naturally. Type, "I trust true desire," to claim this recalibration. Communication patterns will also shift. You may speak less but mean more. Words become weighted, and casual conversation may feel draining. This is not antisocial behavior, it is energetic efficiency. The Council explains that as coherence increases, excess expression falls away. Silence becomes informative rather than awkward. Listen more than you speak. Notice what remains unsaid. Meaning now travels through tone, timing, and presence rather than volume. This may unsettle those accustomed to constant exchange. Allow the adjustment. Authentic communication requires space. Type, "I honor silence," to deepen this frequency. The Council addresses a critical internal recalibration: your relationship with uncertainty. Previously, uncertainty triggered anxiety because control felt like safety. Now, uncertainty may feel neutral or even spacious. This is a sign of trust developing at a deeper level. You are learning that not knowing does not equal danger. The shock is realizing how much energy was spent predicting outcomes that never arrived. Release forecasting. Stay responsive instead. Life communicates step by step, not all at once. Allow information to arrive when needed. Type, "I embrace the unknown," to stabilize trust. You may begin to notice a softening of judgment, both toward yourself and others. This does not mean tolerating harm, it means releasing unnecessary evaluation. Judgment consumes energy that could be used for presence. The Council explains that as coherence stabilizes, comparison loses relevance. You stop measuring yourself against others' paths because your own path becomes sufficient. This can feel like emotional maturity or quiet confidence. Let it grow. Compassion expands naturally when competition dissolves. Type, "I release judgment," to integrate this state. As this sequence closes, the Council reminds you that nothing needs to be forced. Integration unfolds through attention, not effort. You are not behind, and there is nothing to catch up to. You are exactly where responsiveness becomes possible. Continue listening inward. Continue choosing honesty over habit. This is how the new stabilizes, not through intensity, but through consistency. Type I continue consciously to seal this segment. The Council now delivers a final destabilizing insight: certainty is no longer your ally. Many humans equate certainty with safety, but certainty often freezes perception and blocks adaptation. In this phase, flexibility outperforms confidence. You may notice that firm opinions soften, rigid beliefs dissolve, and once solid conclusions begin to feel incomplete. This is not confusion, it is expanded awareness. The shock comes when you realize that being right mattered more to the ego than being aligned. Alignment requires openness. Allow yourself to update without shame. Growth does not invalidate your past, it evolves it. Type I stay open to claim this recalibration. You may feel a growing intolerance for internal contradiction. Saying one thing while feeling another will feel increasingly uncomfortable. This is coherence asserting itself. The Council explains that fragmentation becomes energetically expensive as awareness rises. You are learning to live congruently. This may require difficult conversations or quiet internal adjustments. Avoiding truth now creates immediate discomfort, while honesty creates relief even if it is momentarily uncomfortable. Let actions catch up to awareness. Integrity restores energy. Type I live congruently to stabilize this alignment. Another subtle shift emerges: time perception changes. Moments may feel elongated or compressed. Waiting becomes easier, rushing becomes harder. This is because presence anchors you outside habitual time anxiety. The Council notes that when attention stabilizes, time reorganizes around awareness rather than urgency. You no longer chase moments, you inhabit them. This can feel disorienting in fast-paced environments. Do not resist it. This recalibration restores nervous system balance. Type I rest in the moment to deepen grounding. You may notice that inspiration replaces motivation. Instead of forcing yourself to act, action arises naturally when alignment is present. This feels lighter, quieter, and more sustainable. The Council emphasizes that motivation relies on pressure, while inspiration flows from clarity. If action does not arise, wait without self-criticism. Stillness prepares direction. Trust timing. Type I trust inspiration to align with this flow. This transmission completes with a simple reminder from the Council: nothing more is required of you than awareness and sincerity. You do not need to become someone else. You are refining who you already are. Stay attentive. Stay responsive. Stay kind to yourself during transitions. The path stabilizes as you walk it. You are not alone in this process, and you never were. Type I complete the cycle to seal this final message. This Arcturian Council transmission presents a powerful message of urgency, transformation, and conscious choice, centered around a critical energetic window activated during January 15, 16, and 17. These dates are described as source-set moments, non-repeatable alignment points where timelines crystallize more rapidly than usual. The message emphasizes that humanity is undergoing a compression phase, where old structures, identities, beliefs, and emotional patterns can no longer be sustained. What is collapsing now is not random chaos but intentional recalibration. A core theme of the message is awareness versus avoidance. Those who remain unconscious, dismissive, or resistant to internal change may experience greater confusion, exhaustion, and disruption later. This is not framed as punishment, but as a natural consequence of misalignment. Energy now responds faster to attention, intention, and emotional rehearsal. Thoughts, words, and inner narratives carry amplified creative force, making conscious self-awareness essential. Casual negativity, unconscious self-talk, or habitual fear patterns can quickly solidify into lived experience. The transmission highlights how many people will feel sudden shifts in relationships, motivation, and identity. Familiar roles may feel intolerable, while once desired goals may lose meaning. This is described as identity fatigue, the exhaustion that comes from maintaining versions of the self that are no longer authentic. As these layers dissolve, individuals may feel temporarily undefined or unmotivated. The message reassures that this void is not emptiness, but fertile space for genuine alignment to emerge. Physical and emotional symptoms, such as disrupted sleep, emotional waves, vivid dreams, sensitivity to noise or environments, and delayed grief, are presented as signs of integration rather than imbalance. The nervous system is adapting to higher coherence, and rest, stillness, and simplicity are framed as strategic necessities rather than weaknesses. Traditional productivity metrics no longer apply during this phase. Invisible inner work is just as valuable as visible action. Another major theme is discernment. As awareness increases, tolerance for distortion, pretense, and misalignment decreases. Many will feel less inclined to explain themselves, seek validation, or participate in emotionally charged collective narratives. This withdrawal is not apathy, but sovereignty. Emotional honesty becomes non-negotiable, and internal contradiction becomes energetically costly. Integrity, living congruently with one's inner knowing, restores energy and clarity. The Council emphasizes that intuition will often contradict logic during this period. Logical systems were built for stability, not transformation, and insisting on proof before trust can delay growth. Guidance now arrives through subtle cues, ease versus resistance, replenishment versus depletion. Flow replaces struggle as the indicator of alignment. Forcing outcomes, clinging to certainty, or trying to carry others forward will create friction and fatigue. Timelines are described as actively diverging. Not everyone will move in the same direction, and separation, whether emotional, relational, or environmental, is portrayed as a natural and necessary correction rather than abandonment. Compassion does not require absorption, and love sometimes looks like allowing others their own process without interference. The transmission also reframes uncertainty. Rather than a threat, not knowing becomes a spacious, neutral state where trust replaces control. Presence is emphasized as the primary point of power. Time perception may shift as individuals become less driven by urgency and more anchored in the present moment. Inspiration replaces motivation. Action arises naturally from clarity rather than pressure. Ultimately, the message stresses that alignment is not dramatic but cumulative. Small, honest, consistent choices shape reality more effectively than intense but unsustainable efforts. Progress is measured not by intensity or speed, but by peace, coherence, and sincerity. There is no requirement to become someone else, only to refine and embody what is already true. The transmission closes by reminding the audience that participation is a choice, but energetic consequences are automatic. Awareness softens impact, ignorance amplifies it. Nothing unfolding is accidental. Every disruption is informational, every ending is corrective, and every delay is purposeful. By staying present, conscious, and responsive, individuals stabilize into a clearer, truer timeline, one built not on fear or habit, but on alignment and authenticity.